The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Danny Laurel. Let's now zoom out at the equities space, kicking off with how the Asian markets are doing this morning. You can see quite a mixed bag here. The Hang Seng is flattish or down, or at least gearing towards the red, whereas Shanghai Composite and Shenzhen are up around 0.2%. Now over in Singapore, you've got the FTSE Straits Times up by 0.9%. Now this comes on the back of China's economy growing at the second slowest pace since the 1970s. However, that was still better than the forecasted fourth quarter figures, and this also comes ahead of the Bank of Japan's policy decision today, and of course celebrations starting to kick off for the Lunar New Year. Liquidity is slated to thin out, especially as the likes of Hong Kong, Singapore, and China are set to have some holidays over there. Now let's see which direction we are taking. It did seem to be the case that since yesterday, you can see that slide already. That was quite some profit taking, of course, after 3 straight days of a rally. And we can see that, Marcos also, the comments of Marcos spilling over. He is, of course, in Davos right now. Even despite these comments of him seeing the growth of the Philippines the fastest in Asia, saying 7% this year, saying the economy has been stable, unemployment declining. Nevertheless, we did have a bit of a slide yesterday after the best start to the year in at least 3 decades. There's one sector that I did want to check in on, that is specifically mining and oil. This comes after the comments of the president over in Davos, specifically saying that there's still a way around the issue on whether we could actually have a joint venture exploration on China. He did mention that if we limit that joint venture to just exploration, hopefully I think there is still some time or give and take possible over there. And you can see a bit of green here. Atlas and Global Ferronickel up by 0.2% and 1.6% respectively. However, you do see some other miners and oil companies sitting out that rally. PXP Energy, one to be watching out for there, if that will be moving on the back of the president's comments. And I did want to check in on the big movers of this day, especially since we have seen quite a reversal of fortunes. The biggest ones, the banks, as well as the property sectors, the one that were big gainers as well as big losers yesterday. It does seem to be the case that the banks and the holding companies are continuing to drag down the bourse, possibly some profit taking, as mentioned here on the biggest movers, at least in the year to date. One specific stock to watch was SSI yesterday. This came, and I'll pull out the 3-day chart for you. This came as it dropped as much as 4.6% just yesterday, actually. And this on the back of a lot of discussions on whether there will be more taxation, not just of the rich. We had that on the show yesterday, but even on just luxury items. So very interesting there. There are proposals going on there from the lawmakers, seeing higher taxes on that. And of course, this carries quite the most expensive and luxurious brands of the country. SSI continuing on that downward path, trading at 1 peso and 67 centavos a piece. Finally, I did want to take a quick peek on our peso. This comes after we've seen quite, a strong showing, at least towards the beginning of the year. We're actually trading at 54.93 to the greenback. However, Barclays is warning that the peso may be weakening to as low as 57 to the greenback in the first quarter, and hopefully recovering to around 55 by the end of the year. They did say that this was on the back of government spending on infrastructure, which might actually increase, the domestic consumption, but also boost the imports. And of course, when the imports are boosted, the peso tends to fall, and we might be seeing that fall from what we've seen as a 7-month high so far, with concerns on slowing growth still weighing on the domestic economy. Cooperation in a fragmented world, that is the theme of this year's World Economic Forum over in Davos, Switzerland, as it aims to tackle issues such as inequality and climate change. Here is your guide to Davos 2023. The global elite are gathering at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. It's the annual meeting's first winter event in 3 years, and the ski town attracts CEOs, billionaires, and celebrities for a week of discussions on income inequality, climate change, and so much more. Now, this year's theme, cooperation in a fragmented world. But the event does often draw criticism for attracting the ultra-rich who pontificate about global issues without really committing to fixing them.
Your inaction is fueling the flames by the hour.
Show me the money. Talk is cheap. It turns out that nobody is as generous with their actual dollars as they are with their pledges in their press release.
We can talk for a very long time about all these stupid philanthropy schemes. We can invite Bono once more, but come on, we got to be talking about taxes.
Yes.
That's it. Taxes, taxes, taxes. All the rest is, in my opinion.
One area where we might see some movement is on the breakdown of panels. During the last World Economic Forum, a third of the panels were devoted specifically to ESG, and the use of words like environmentalism in those Davos press releases has actually tripled since 2014. Sometimes who's not there is more interesting than who is. Former President Donald Trump is not attending, nor is current President Joe Biden. And embattled crypto entrepreneur SBF is obviously out, but there will be plenty of panels on the future of digital currency. So follow a quick take on all social platforms to get our updates on the World Economic Forum on the ground in Davos. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Dani Laurel. Now, the Court of Tax Appeals has acquitted Rappler and its CEO Maria Ressa of 4 charges of tax evasion. According to the media company, the CTA First Division ruled that the prosecution failed to prove their guilt beyond reasonable doubt. The cases, which were filed by the Duterte administration, stemmed from Rappler raising capital through its partnership with foreign investors. Ressa described the court verdict as a victory for facts, truth, and justice, as she called for freedom for jailed journalists in the country.
Siguro naman po, yung sa mga trolls ng Rappler at doon sa mga naniniwala sa mga kasinungalingan tungkol sa Rappler, napaniwalaan na po namin na hindi tax evader ang Rappler. Okay?
Meanwhile, BPI expects more Chinese clients in its merger with Robinsons Bank. BPI says the merger would allow it to tap into the latter's network of Filipino-Chinese clients. This would give BPI a significant advantage over its competitors. The merger between the two banks is targeted to take effect on January 1st, 2024, with the BPI as the surviving entity. It is projected to add 7% to BPI's revenues and 5 to 6% to its profit. International liquor brand Diageo is acquiring premium Philippine rum brand Don Papa. In a statement, Diageo says the upfront consideration is 260 million euros, with a further potential consideration of up to 177.5 million euros through to 2028. Diageo says acquiring Don Papa Rum would allow the London-based firm to participate in the fast-growing super premium plus segment. The acquisition is expected to close in the first half of 2023. The University of the Philippines conferred the UP Gawad Oblation to 38 alumni and friends. Outgoing UP President Danilo Concepcion said the award is given to these individuals for their, quote, extraordinary service with or in the name of the university. Awardees include business moguls such as Metro Pacific Chairman and President Manny V. Pangilinan. Other members of the private sector who received the award include Meralco CEO Ray Espinosa, San Miguel's Ramon Ang, and Robinson's Robina Gokongwei. UP also granted the Gawad Oblation Award to government officials like Senator Mark Villar, Finance Secretary Ben Diokno, Baguio City Mayor Ben Magalong, and Cavite Governor John Vic Remulla, among others. For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online, or visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Danny Laurel. Join us again at 11:15 a.m. We are One News, all sides, all the time.